the stories we grew up with. In the academies of my homeworld, they taught us about the human wars. Whispers told of fire that consumed planets, machines that screamed like gods, and soldiers who smiled while their worlds burned. Humans, our elders said, were chaos given flesh, the reason the galaxy learned to fear. No images remained, only records too corrupted to verify. But every child in the Dominion knew the story. If you ever meet one, run. That was a warning we carried into adulthood. The ship in the void. Centuries later, I served aboard the Varethian Peacekeeper, patrolling dead systems beyond the old human frontier. We called them grave stars, systems that once burned bright but now held only silence. Then, one cycle, our senses caught something impossible. A derelict vessel, drifting between broken moons, broadcasting an ancient Terran distress code. No living human had been seen for over 1,000 years. Captain Trell ordered a boarding team. I was assigned as interpreter. My heart's thundered with a mix of fear and fascination. The ghost of Earth. The human ship was vast, gray metal, scorched and scarred. Inside, everything smelled of rust and old ghosts. We found one cryopod still active. Inside was a human, alive. The others stepped back. No one wanted to be the one to touch the legend. I reached forward, trembling, and pressed the activation rune. Mist hissed. The chamber opened, and from it rose a monster of our myths, small, fragile-looking, wrapped in tattered cloth, with eyes like dying suns. He looked at me and smiled. The smile, it was not a predator's grin. It was soft, tired, warm. "Hey," he whispered, voice cracked by centuries. "You found me." The others froze. None of us had expected words, let alone gentleness. "Why, you're human," I stammered. He gave a weak laugh. "Last I checked." He asked for water. I gave it to him, my hand shaking. His fingers brushed mine, warm, rough, real. And in that instant, everything I'd ever been taught felt like a lie. The war that wasn't. We brought him aboard. The medic scanned him, terrified he'd attack. Instead, he thanked them. His name was Captain Masonhale, a soldier from the final days of Earth's empire. When asked about the wars, he fell silent for a long time. Then he said softly, "We weren't monsters. We were desperate." He told us the truth, how humanity had fought the Dominion not for conquest, but survival. You feared us because we wouldn't die quietly. Our records never mentioned that. They painted humans as demons. But his eyes, they carried grief, not pride. The galaxy reacts. When word reached the Dominion Council, panic erupted. "Terminate it," shouted the chancellors. "Humans bring extinction." But Captain Hale did not rage. He simply asked for light and for news of home. Does Earth still stand? No one wanted to tell him the truth, that his world had long turned to ash. I volunteered. I sat beside him in the observation deck, watching the nebulae drift. When I told him, he closed his eyes and whispered, "Then we did it right." I didn't understand. He explained, if the galaxy forgot us, maybe it finally got peace. The choice. The council ordered his execution. I couldn't do it. He had become something impossible, proof that the stories were wrong, that monsters could be kind. So I freed him. I gave him a small shuttle, stocked with supplies, and a star chart. Before leaving, he handed me a small device. "A gift," he said. "History, unedited." Then he smiled again, that same human smile that broke 1,000 years of fear. "Don't let them forget who we were." He left into the black, a single spark vanishing into the sea of stars. The truth in the data. The device contained archives, images, voices, laughter, children playing, oceans shining, people building, loving, dreaming. Humanity hadn't been monsters. They had been us, flawed, fierce, beautiful. The last file was a recording, Captain Hale speaking before his cryo-sleep. If someone finds this, tell them we tried. Tell them we weren't all war. The return of the monster. Years passed. The council hunted me for treason. But then, one night, all channels across the Dominion filled with a signal, human origin. It was Hale's voice. Calm, confident. We're coming home. Every starport went dark. The silence that followed was the same as in the stories. And for the first time, I understood why they had feared that smile. Because it wasn't the grin of a monster. It was a promise of survival. The new legend. Now, when our children ask about humans, we no longer tell them of demons or fire. We tell them about a man who smiled at fear itself and turned myth into truth. We tell them that sometimes the monsters in our stories are only the heroes we misunderstood. And somewhere in the dark, I hope is still smiling.